Happy October, everybody. Today I am hosting a Croctober collaboration, but because Instant Pots are so popular and because honestly that was the dish that I was leaning more towards, was like an Instant Pot one. So today I'm changing it up, and for this year it's gonna be Croctober Instant Pot-tober recipes and challenges, and I will share the playlist of all the other ladies who are sharing all their videos in the description below, so don't you forget to check that out. And also don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're new from any of the other channels, and let's get to ours. Yes, there is a crock pot of chili there. A couple years ago, maybe 3 years ago, for the Croctober chili challenge, or for the Croctober challenge for Instant Pot was a really big thing, I actually shared this recipe. I will link it up here. Not doing this one today. I know this sounds crazy. I have a crock pot of chili right here. I'm still gonna go ahead and make chicken and dumplings today because I need to go ahead and get them made. So we have the crock pot of chili here already ready for dinner, but I'm gonna make chicken and dumplings to go ahead and have on hand for tomorrow when I'm gonna have a super busy day and I can just reheat food as I need to. First thing I do, take the lid off. And it should come off just fine as long as it's off and has not been pressure cooked or anything. Next thing I'm going to do is we're actually going to pressure cook it, but I have found do not go ahead and set your pressure cooking settings until you have everything in here. I'm also going to remove this. You saw this in the baked potato video. I use the rack for baked potatoes. I do not use it for meat. Step one is we're going to add 2 cups of water. I will be honest, sometimes I forget that it's 2 cups because it's on the recipe that we originally started using to do this with. It said 1 pint, so I would forget and put 1 cup because my brain and math sometimes. So I started using my 2 cup measuring cup, or I literally will measure it with pint jars. But today, the 2 cup measuring cup is clean and I have it right here, so we're going to use it. We are also going to be starting off with adding 2 Weiler's chicken bouillon cubes. If you're trying to reduce on salt, I've never personally tried this, but I've had somebody recommend it before. Instead of using bouillon cubes, if you have to cut down on the salt, just use Italian seasoning and pepper. It doesn't make a stock. You can make your own stock from just boiling the chicken if you have to, like a chicken on the bone. This is just how we do it. I'm going to use 2 bouillon cubes and 2 cups of water and put them into the Instant Pot. So there's the 2 bouillon cubes. If you want to melt them before you can, or dissolve them before you can, I'm not. Next thing we're going to do is add the chicken. Now that the chicken is in here, another optional step you can do is if you want to go ahead and you like other seasonings. Sometimes when my husband's making chicken and dumplings, we co-cook in our kitchen. Sometimes he'll go ahead while the chicken's in here and add Italian seasoning and pepper to it. You can do that as optional. I'm just going to do base recipe for it just for you all for today. But there's about 5-6 chicken breasts in here, like a family size pack. We got them for about $1.99 a pound. And all we're going to do now is make sure that the lid gets put on securely. I am 0 for 2 of getting this on first time with one hand, and I never can do that without the camera on. That's crazy. Then we're going to make sure that this is turned to where it is on. This is off. This is on. You can read your instructions, and also mine will beep at me if it's not turned on. I don't want to test it just to make sure it does or doesn't, but mine will beep at me if I go to set the pressure cook and that's actually not turned on. Also, again, if you have one like ours, this little thing right here will be sticking up if it's still at pressure. So on the bottom on mine, it's not pressure level. We're going to do pressure cook. This is where you could adjust the level. For chicken and meat of any kind, we do on high. And I am going to go ahead and leave it at 15 minutes. That's the same that I did the baked potatoes at. And I'm just going to go ahead and leave it. It automatically comes on. The timer will not start until this is now at pressure. What I am going to do carefully is I am going to turn this, because if not, this will actually vent towards my cabinet. I turn it, the cord isn't long enough to get it over here beside the stove. But I turn it, and then I will turn my fan on, and it pulls the steam away from it while it's cooking, and it doesn't vent towards my cabinets. While the chicken is coming to pressure in the Instant Pot and pressurizing and all that, we are going to go ahead and start making the dumplings. This is the way that I have started making them since we, Dollywood several years ago had a chuck wagon stand, and the guy was using Pioneer brand baking mix to make dumplings and biscuits, and this is the only biscuit mix that you can actually use with water, or at least it was at the time. We have switched to using milk with it for the dumplings just because it has a little bit more texture. We do have one that's lactose free. We can use lactose free milk or water if we want to. Probably going to use regular milk because the lactose free milk is not cheap and she's fine with it right now. So like if there's days that she's just like, please use mine, then we do. But otherwise we try to save it for just for her to be able to use for drinking, for cereal, whatnot. So we are going to start with 4 cups of the Pioneer brand baking mix. Here's the part that we do different. Some people suggest adding Italian seasoning or poultry seasoning to your broth when making chicken and dumplings. We have found that adding Italian seasoning, which has most of the ingredients of poultry seasoning plus a few more, to the actual dumpling batter itself before you spoon it into your hot broth, that it actually adds more flavor back into the dumplings themselves. And I know some people like that would be sacrilege, but it's just our personal recipe. It's how we found to do it. So we're actually going to add this. I honestly don't even measure. I just do it to where it looks like there is enough of it to where every single time I spoon some out, there is going to be some in here. So like I may start with like a tablespoon amount and I may go from there. You know what, just for you guys, I'm going to measure it out for you. So let's start with a tablespoon and see what it looks like. There is what exactly 1 tablespoon, I did get a tablespoon out to measure it, 1 tablespoon looks like before stirring it in. Also, this just beeped at me to let me know that it has come to pressure. The pressure gauge is all the way up. And now the countdown has started. That's what it looks like after 1 tablespoon. So apparently I usually add around a tablespoon, maybe more. So the next thing we're going to do is add 1 1/3 cup of milk. Here's what it looks like before mixing, and it's fairly easy to start mixing it, but the more you mix it, the thicker these should become. Okay, now it's getting harder to stir. Here's what it looks like completely stirred in. It's basically now just a massive ball of dough. Earlier I said I was going to need 2 pints in here once the chicken came out. I'm actually going to need 2 quarts. So once this comes out, we will add a little bit more water in than I had intended. I thought I was starting with half the water level. Yeah, I'm not. I'm actually starting with like 1/4 of it, I think. Anyway, so once this finishes, now that the dough is ready, we will wait for it to come out, and once the chicken comes out, then we will add more stock in before we add the dumplings in. The timer has finished to let me know that it has pressure cooked for 15 minutes. You see that the pressure valve is still very much sticking out to let me know that it's still at pressure. One of the recommendations that people made after our last video was to just let it depressurize on its own for 10 to 15 minutes. I'm kind of short on time, so I'm going to only let it go for 10. The way I know that is that it is on a keep warm setting, and so far it has been on keep warm for 4 minutes. So I'm going to wait until 10 minutes. If it hasn't already depressurized, then we're going to flip the valve and let it depressurize on its own. It's at 12 minutes, it's still at pressure, so all I'm going to do is and let it vent, and again the fan's on, so it should pull more that way. And let it slowly depressurize until that is completely dropped down so that we can remove the lid and take the chicken out. Pressure valve's all the way down. Wiggle it, so nothing else comes out. So we're going to turn it. And it made noise. And watch out for the steam, because there's still going to be some steam come out. But our chicken is completely cooked. My recommendation for doing these dumplings is to do 1 quart of liquid per every 2 cups of batter. You know, we used 4 cups, so it would normally only be 2 quarts liquid. But I have also found that if you don't like your chicken and dumplings to be super thick and you want a little bit more liquid in there, we're going to go ahead and do 3. So I am going to see if it'll let me add 10 cups of water to this once the chicken's out. You can actually leave the chicken, it's just you're going to be having it turn onto a saute where it's going to be hotter, and you don't want your chicken to burn to the bottom after it's already taken all this time to pressure cook really nicely. I'm going to take it out and set it aside and shred it and set half of it aside to freeze, because I don't need all of that for just us. I know it sounds crazy. You can use all that. We're not going to. Half that's going to be taken aside and frozen, and the other half is going to be shredded, and we're gonna make some dumplings. That chicken is so tender and so good. There was 6 breasts in that pack, so I'm going to save 3 to put in here. I'm going to let cool, and I will probably I'm debating either pre-shredding it or just freezing it whole, and that way, like if we ever want chicken and dumplings again, but chicken's not on sale, we'll already have pre-cooked chicken that we can just add to the chicken and dumplings, because again, we're just using bouillon cubes. So from here, that's how much liquid's left. If you want to like descale it, you can. I'm not going to worry about doing it. What I am going to do is come over here, hit cancel, and hit saute. It's going to make it to where this, I'm going to have to scrape it, but it's going to start boiling, which is actually what we want. From here, we're going to add a total of 3 quarts of water. We started with 2, so math-wise, we need to add 10 more cups of water before we add the dumplings. Also from here, after you've added your water, that's how high it went on here. So mine is like an 8 quart, I think. Anyways, it now currently has 3 quarts of liquid in here. If you try it right now and it does not taste salty enough with just starting with the stock, with the 2 bouillon cubes and then adding more liquid to it, Matt said what he usually does is he does 1 to 2 bouillon cubes per extra quart of water that you add. It depends on how salty you want it. He likes for his stock to have a heavy stock flavor to it because you're not actually like individually salting the chicken or the dumplings at this point. So I am going to add like about a tablespoon of pepper, and I'm going to add 1 more bouillon cube per quart of water. I added 2 more quarts of water, so I'm going to add 2 more bouillon cubes to it as it starts sauteing and comes to a boil. Now that we're starting to see it come to a boil, my washer's fixing to get really loud, we are going to go ahead and start dropping them in. Literally, all I do from this point is I'm making drop dumplings. Grab a forkful, take it to the edge, and sometimes if it's not going to come off, you can kind of just like swirl it in the broth, scrape, and dump it in. And repeat until the bowl's empty. Now that all of these are in, let's talk for a minute of what most people usually end up having go wrong the first time that they make biscuit style dumplings, which is what these are, is basically a biscuit style dumpling. Or it's also a drop dumpling. I don't know what all people call them, but there are different styles of dumplings. These are the ones that are biscuit style, drop style, a little bit of both. Is number 1, they leave it on high the entire time and end up burning it. Number 2, they don't scrape it after they drop the dumplings in and they end up burning it. The dumplings will stick to the bottom of a pot. Number 3 is you can overstir your dumplings and they will dissolve. I don't know how or why it happens, that only if you overstir it, but I have overstirred it before. People, not believing people, yeah, right, okay. And they have. Like, just from stirring this a lot right now, these are a little bit smaller than what I just did. So, next stage. Hit cancel, hit keep warm, and we're going to wait for it to keep warm for 10 minutes. See if it'll let us put the lid on, because that's normally how you do it. If not, we'll leave the lid off. But we're going to put it on keep warm. There it goes. Keep warm for 10 minutes, which is like a slow simmer, because that's all you need. You don't leave it on boil the whole time, at least not with these. And again, like, you just kind of want to gently not fog up my camera and gently stir these, not like really stir hard. Your goal is to just keep them off the bottom. On the Instant Pot, last time we trialed it, we didn't find that it was a problem sticking to the sides as much as the actual heat source on the bottom. But we're going to try, sometimes if it's too hot, it won't let us put a lid on it. We're going to try putting the lid over top of it. Let's see if it'll do it. Will you let me put a lid on? Yes, with the vent open, it will let us put the lid on for 10 minutes. At the halfway mark, I am going to go ahead and take this lid off and stir it on keep warm. They shouldn't look quite done yet because they're not, but just kind of gently put them back in the broth where they need to be, and make sure you scrape the bottom so that none of them are sticking and burning, because you would be surprised if one dumpling gets stuck on that bottom and burns, it ruins the entire pot. 10 minutes in, let's see how it looks. Here's how they look. I need my spoon. There it goes. Or my spoonula. These are also, if you hadn't seen before, these are from Star Pack. They'll be on our affiliates link below. It's a spoon, but it has like a scraper spatula end on it, so it's called a spoonula. And I don't know if it's specific to them, but that's the ones that we get them from. Check these out. Alright, and yay, no sticky. So I'm going to come up here to my bowl cabinet, get a teeny tiny bowl, and get a teeny tiny dumpling. Actually, I probably need to try one of the bigger ones to make sure that those are done. And I'm going to put it right here. Cut it in half. Oh, I didn't show that, but I did just cut that in half. I had to like literally, look, watch. It literally just cut in half. And that's how it looks. Over here where I have silverware, let's do a fork. And it's not wanting to. There we go. Now all I need to do to make this a meal, add the chicken to it, and it's done. So that's it for today's video and this year's Croctober recipe from us. Don't forget to check out the playlist below with all the other wonderful, amazing people who are participating in this year's Croctober Instant Pottober recipes. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see you, well, this won't see you next time because I'm going to eat it, but I will see you next time.